To Morning Live.
Thank you and good morning to the listeners.
All right, now, firstly, how significant is the birth of any royal heir to our heritage?
The royal birth is very significant because it is modeled on the birth of spiritual beings based on ancient Ethiopian and Egyptian regal culture on which the British practices are based. According to that culture, the souls of noble children come from the God of light, accompanied by three spiritual beings that are represented by the three stars of the Orion belt. You can compare with that with the three wise men that accompanied the birth of Jesus the Christ. But now these souls enter the physical universe through the womb of the universe, which is the zodiac, particularly through the sign of Cancer. Now, the sign of Cancer represents the messenger of God called Heir or thought Hermes. So that's why the month of July is a specific month, because it's the month during which the word of the God of light is born. Yeah. And noble souls are born during July, like Mandela, now like the royal child in Britain.
Wow. Okay. All right. You've thrown a whole new light on all of this for us. Now, let's talk about the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge having had a boy. Does gender matter in this day and age? Because I do know that, rules were changed and, saying it didn't really matter whether it was going to be a boy or a girl. It would still become the future king or queen of England. It didn't really matter. But in this day and age, does it matter? Does gender play a role?
The gender doesn't matter because, in the regal culture, both the girl and the boy are entitled to succeed to the throne. And of course, at the spiritual level, the gender distinction does not apply. So what is important is that it is a noble soul that is being incarnated in the physical body for the purpose of governance or, guiding the world in one direction or the other.
Yeah. Any traditional preparations made before a royal baby, particularly an heir is born? I mean, what are some of the traditions that are followed?
The celebrations.
Traditions that are followed. The traditions that are followed.
The tradition which the British people have deviated from is that the child is born and stays in seclusion for 12 days, yeah, corresponding with the 12 signs of the zodiac. And then on the evening of the 12th day, then there's a night vigil for the purification of the child, accompanied by music, dance, and then in the morning, the child then is brought to the public, and that child then is said to have been born of the Virgin Mother, and that's how royal children are supposed to be manifested to the public. But you can see in the case of the British, the cameras are waiting for the child. There's no celebration. And then the child is taken into the car immediately. So you can see an adaptation of the ancient practices.
Let's talk about the name now, because now that's what everybody is focusing on, the name of this little baby. What really are the traditions around the naming? I mean, if we have to go by the bookmakers in London, they're looking at the names. I think it's James and George. I think that's what they're looking at. We're hoping for Nelson. But what are the traditions around naming?
The tradition around naming is that the child must take one or the other name of the royal ancestors, the royal ancestors. But it may appear that the guardian spirit of that child is a particular royal ancestor. And then the child would cry for the name of that royal ancestor until the name is given, and the child would be quiet. And then that would be the process.
Wow, that should be really interesting. Just quickly before I let you go, I mean, are there similarities between the English culture that we have been watching and the African royalty that we have? Because we have a lot of royalty here in South Africa.
You will know that actually the traditions of the British royalty came out of Egypt, and those of Egypt came out of Ethiopia, which is the heartland of African regal culture. So in their original form, these traditions are the same, but in Europe they got adapted to new situations. That's why you see a child is awaited by cameras now before even the purifications and the necessary celebrations and the naming has been done.
All right, Dr. Mathole Motshekga, thank you so much for talking to us and giving us that enlightening interview. Dr. Motshekga is from the Heir Heritage Institute, talking to us about some of the traditions and ceremonies about royal births, both abroad and here in Africa. Did I just see a picture of the Lion King and Mufasa? I don't know. I'm still laughing about that. All right, let's take it.